Hello everyone, it's Lion here with Hobbies of a Man, and today we're going to do another light novel review. Today's light novel is going to be There's No Way a Side Character Like Me Could Be Popular, Right? That last word is supposed to be a question, but it's difficult to make it sound like a question if I'm reading it all in one go. But yeah, I think most people just call it side character, at least Alex from Tentai Books does. But yeah, so before we get started, a few things. Please like and subscribe and comment down below. Let me know what you guys thought about this first novel and the debut, and if you guys had any issues with the download and then reading of the book. I think if you bought it on Kindle, you didn't have any issues, like if you bought it through Amazon. But if you bought it directly from their website, there might have been some issues. So if you buy it and you get a .rar file and don't know how to open it, or have issues where the images are really blurry, check out my Twitter, and I show you guys how to open .rar files and how to get access to all the specific files for your device, and the PDF, which makes a world of difference. It really is nice and really well set up in those specific file types. But if you just download the RAR, if you're on a Mac at least, you can't access it. So you have to, it's not compressed, but you have to unarchive it, like unzip it, and then you can access it. So yeah, it's on my Twitter. It's should be my pinned tweet, but I can't remember. Anyways, yeah, so on with this. I'm gonna tell you guys the premise, and then I'm gonna look at 5 things in my review. I'm gonna look at plot, character, world building, art, fan service, and then I'll tell you my rating, and then I'm gonna mention some issues that I wrote down, mostly with the formatting of the book, actually exclusively with the formatting of the book, because everything else about it was good. And this is it's not hate, and I'm not against it. I really support this company, and Alex is a really cool guy, so I'm supportive of him as well. But this is kind of pinpointing the issues that I had with my reading experience, so that he has some feedback and he can try to figure it out and fix it. So no one attack me, because I'm not being negative for the sake of being negative. I'm trying to constructively criticize so that this experience can be better for all of us. So yeah, that disclaimer out of the way and everything else, let's just jump into it. So there's no way a side character like me could be popular, right? This is written by Sekaiichi, and it's illustrated by Tamari, which is a really good artist I had never heard of before, or at least I can't remember. But as you can see, their art style is very nice. And yeah, so the genres here are school life, comedy, romance, and it has elements of harem. They're not really clear in this volume, but you really see the setup for it as you're reading. So it's going to be there eventually. So the premise here is this sophomore loner in high school who only has one friend who happens to be the popular guy, and that's where the title comes from. He's the side character to the popular friend. He somehow gets this popular girl, who happens to be his friend's little sister, to ask him out to be her boyfriend, and on a date and stuff, obviously. But yeah, he's very surprised. He doesn't get it, and then obviously this is some sort of ploy. There's things that aren't initially visible to us that influence this decision, and that our main character kind of runs through in his head, but we don't know if they're the right thing at the moment of the introduction of this character. And yeah, things aren't what they seem, and yeah, but it's actually very interesting, and I really liked how everything worked out. So yeah, let's just jump into the evaluation of this. So the plotline here starts very tropey. It's very basic. It's the first, third or quarter of the book really reads like an introductory volume, very basic. But it is surprising, and it really develops very well near the end. So the basic rundown of the plot, without any, without too many spoilers, is the introduction of the character, and then he gets asked out, and then they have lunch dates kind of, and then they go on their first date. There seems to be some fighting, because our main character is kind of like a delinquent, and then there's this school festival thing, and then there's another fight during the festival, and then the book kind of wraps up after that. It kind of closes, and then there's some setup for the next volume and like the rest of the series. And that's basically the very most basic outline I can think of for the plot. But yeah, like I said, it's very good. It is very tropey at the beginning. There's your main character who's like scary slash loner slash socially inept. You have his supportive character who's very articulate. And you have like the teacher that is like helping them. And yeah, so this is really slice of life. And it's like, you know, nothing too crazy. It doesn't ever get boring, but it starts out kind of slow. But at the end, it's very good. So, and then characters, they're very good. They're all interesting, and most of them are pretty relatable. Like let me run down through the list of characters. So you have Ike, who is the popular guy. He's kind of a Troy Bolton character. Okay. He's like that good guy that's always helpful, that has all the girls, you know, that sort of good guy that doesn't let it get to his head that he's super popular. Then you have Yuji, who's the character, that our main character, but he sees himself as a side character to his friend's main character, popular guy, I guess. And he's good. He's really misunderstood. And he has a very deep thinking process about a lot of stuff and about life and stuff. And yeah, and then those are the two main male characters. Then we have Toka, who is kind of a good person, but she's also kind of a bitch, but she's also kind of like justified in being that way. And like, you know, she's probably the most interesting character. And she is the main love interest in this book. And yeah, I really love her as a character, but I'll get back to her afterwards. So there's two more female characters. There's Kana, who is like the shy girl next door family friend type. And I think that she's going to be a love interest in the next volume. I mean, she has an illustrated image, so she probably is going to be. But the book tries to play it coy, but to me it feels really glaring. So maybe it's not playing it coy and I'm just like stupid. That's entirely possible. And then we have the hot teacher, which is Makiri, and I'll show you images of them once we talk about the art. But yeah, so those are all the characters. Like I said, Toka is probably the best one. She has a very relatable, understandable type of mentality to her once we get to know her. Once her and Yuji have the moment where they connect, you know, where they open themselves up to each other and talk about their lives and themselves. You really find her to be immensely relatable. Like I don't want to ruin or spoil what but it's basically a very give up, don't give up kind of situation. And they're like both sides of the coin. Like one of them symbolizes what happens when you do give up, and the other one's what happens when you don't give up. And they have this very like unique understanding of each other, and it really shows you, you know, that they can be very compatible, and their romance can be real, if that makes any sense. But she is the most like personally relatable character, I guess. And then Yuji is also very relatable, but for a different reason. He's kind of like the noble guy that is misunderstood, that sort of thing. And yeah, that's basically all the characters. So yeah, favorite character is Toka. Yuji is probably the second favorite. And then after that, I don't really care about the other ones. There's actually a lot more characters that are introduced. There's like the antagonist, whose name is like Kai or something. He's like a very white knight kind of. I don't want to say SJW, but like kind of. He's like interested in Toka. And he like sees Yuji in a very bad light, and that kind of causes conflict. But yeah, so, and oh, who else is there? There's 2 student council students, and then there's a few of Toka's classmates, and then the guy from the volleyball team, I think. Can't remember their names, but they're not like all that important to the story. They just kind of help you highlight the thought process of Yuji as he goes through high school. And yeah, so that's it for the characters. World building is minimal. There's none, basically. It's very unneeded. The only world building, I guess you could say, is the school structure, which isn't really world building. It's just like interesting to see, like as an American looking at what a depiction of what high school in Japan is like. You know, like the student council asks other clubs for help and stuff. I don't really think that really happens in the US, at least at my school. I don't know. I thought that was interesting, but there's really no world building at all. Now, the art here is probably surprisingly good. Like, I really loved it. I didn't think it would be this good, but then Alex, again, has mentioned several times in different interviews that he picked a lot of this because he really liked the art. And so that really helped him find a title. So it makes sense that this art would be good. So as you can see, Tamari is a very good artist. Let me show you some of the colored illustrations. See, there's one of the earlier scenes with Toka. She's very cute and very pretty, very popular. I don't understand why she looks so Western, but I don't know if that's like Japanese people finding it like exotic, kind of like how Americans look at Asian and like brown people, kind of like that. So I don't know, but I mean, it's also anime characters aren't a specific race, aren't drawn to be a specific race usually, so it doesn't matter really. Here's the other characters. That's the teacher. She's very pretty. That's Kana, the childhood friend character, and then there's Toka, and yeah, I would show you the rest of the images, but I don't know if Alex is okay with it, so I'm only going to show you the colored ones. And what's it called? I don't want to ruin the surprise because they are really good and nice. There we go. That's when they're on their date. I really love the way that her expressions are drawn. It's really nice. And yeah, like I said, the art is very nice, very nice, very well done, very cute. It's kind of semi-realistic, I guess. I mean, as realistic as anime can get, I guess, or manga illustrations can get, or like that style, I guess. But yeah, so the art is really good. I really liked it. I understand why Alex said that the art was really good now. I wasn't expecting it to be that good, but it's really nice. And yeah, there's no fan service in this book. So if you guys want some wholesome stuff, this is it. And yeah, it really is very wholesome, very nice and like gentle. And yeah, I rate this a solid 4 out of 5 or 8 out of 10. It didn't blow me out of the water. It didn't shake anything up, but it was very nice, very good. A very clear representation of a romantic comedy with harem aspects. It was very, you know, it wasn't average and it wasn't run-of-the-mill, but it was like exemplary of what this genre kind of is, at least like in the West in like terms of anime and stuff. So yeah, some notes was that basically it was surprising. It was a really good debut. And yeah, now we're gonna move on to my problems with the formatting. So most of the problems, I wouldn't know what to call them. I was thinking they were typesetting issues, but I don't know what typesetting really means, so I can't say that for sure. But basically, you're reading through the book, and then out of nowhere, one piece of the dialogue and the talking is a different font and size from the rest of it. And now on my phone, while I was reading it on my phone, it didn't really bother me that much the first couple times, but it happened a total of 11 times during my reading process. So that was kind of annoying. I checked on my iPad, and it's way more annoying on my iPad because I'm looking at a whole page and then I'm like drifting through it, and I can like see very clearly where the problem is, and that was like bothersome. So yeah, it happens 11 times. It was odd because it always seemed to happen during Toka's dialogue and her like action phrases. But yeah, I checked the PDF. The PDF doesn't have this issue at all, but the EPUB for Apple and the EPUB for Kindle both have the issue. I didn't check the Kobo version because I don't have a Kobo device, so I can't check. But I assume that if it's on both the Kindle and the Apple one, that it's going to be on the Kobo as well, but it's not on the PDFs, which is weird, I guess. I assume that there was a problem when they were formatting it from whatever they have to EPUB. So yeah, I'll post all of them on the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And I thought that it was because I messed with the original file before opening it up, because I use this thing called Calibre, which is an an ebook library kind of software that you can use to change the file type on your ebooks. I would use it to change from Mobi to EPUB so I can read on my Apple devices when I switched over. And I haven't really opened it in a long time, so I tried that originally, but then it messed up the images, so I had to figure out how to open an .rar file so I could have the proper file types. But yeah, and then I had to, I thought it was my fault, so I re-downloaded it and then did the whole process properly, and then it was still there, so it wasn't me. It seems to be from Tentai, but I mean, it's fine. I understand that they're going to have issues these first couple times that they release something, and this is just me giving them the heads up, kind of. And I will message Alex directly to tell him, hey, these are the issues. But yeah, it was just really weird because it happened with Toka specifically, and it was only on the EPUBs. It wasn't on the PDF. So hopefully the physical copy is, using the PDF instead of one of the EPUBs for publishing. I don't really know how that works, so I might be completely wrong there. And then another thing I noticed was on the PDF file, the numbers on the chapter titles are written out, like 8 would be EIGHT, but on the EPUBs, on both the Kindle and the Apple one, it's just like written as an 8, like the symbol. So that was kind of weird. And then some of the emojis aren't centered. Like, well, I don't know if they're really emojis, but like the book tends to separate pieces of the story with a little star shape, and usually they're very well centered, but there was one of them that was not centered, and it was really annoying because I was reading and then I was like, okay, wait, why is it all the way over here when it's usually in the center? It wasn't actually that annoying, but it was something I noticed. So yeah. And then another thing that happened was that there were spacing problems. You're reading and then suddenly everything's like really scrunched up. I guess the regular setting would be a 2-point font or a 1.5 spacing amount between each line of text. But then there were times when it would switch to like 1 spacing or 1-point spacing, I guess. And it happened 3 times in my reading experience. Again, this isn't on the PDF. This is only on the EPUBs. And then there was one miscellaneous thing where there was 1 extra space in one of the dialogue lines. So I'll put all of these on the screen so that you guys can see them, what I'm talking about, because I know that me just saying it doesn't really clarify what I'm talking about. And then the other thing that I was bothered by that is maybe not Alex's fault or Tentai Books' fault. It's just like how the book is that when they switch scenes between, or switch perspectives, sorry, when they switch perspectives between Toka and Yuji, they don't explain it. They just kind of switch his perspective, and you have to assume who it is that is talking, and it's kind of clear. I'm not gonna say it's not clear, but like the tone and like the voice kind of suddenly changes, and then they start using the opposite pronoun and stuff. So it's a little confusing. It's really easy to tell who it is, and that's probably why they didn't make it noticeable that the perspective was shifting, because it's not really necessary. But as a reader, I would really like that so that I'm very clearly aware of what's happening. But that might be because the original Japanese book doesn't have those shifts in perspective, or like doesn't delineate them. And so Tentai Books decided not to keep with the original text. I personally would prefer if they changed it up a little bit so that we would have the perspective delineated. So like, let's just say Toka, like her name above the title, and then have it. But it only happens twice. Okay, the shift, the perspective shift happens, and it only happens twice, and it's at the end of the book, so it's not really that big of a deal. But it's like noticeable, and I would like it if that wasn't there. But if it's to keep with the original, and the intent of the author, then and I'll just suck it up. It's fine. It's not that serious. But yeah, anyways, so that was it. I really like this book. Everyone should check it out. I really enjoyed it. It's a very good debut novel. And besides those little technical issues that I mentioned, that I just finished talking about, it's a very enjoyable series. So I really recommend that everyone check it out if you're fans of light novels. If you guys speak Spanish, it's probably better if you guys buy it in Spanish. It's like $4 cheaper because there's no real market for light novels in Spanish, so they kind of were allowed to pick the price. If I remember correctly, I think Alex mentioned it in our interview. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please let me know what you guys thought about this book. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and see you guys later.